Vince Russo. Vince, welcome
What do
back.
you
How you
mean
doing?
crazy? What do you mean crazily enough?
Come
What's that?
on.
What's that? What does that mean, bro?
Come on.
What does
Ric
that mean?
Flair, Hulk Hogan,
Yeah,
Sting, Vince
yeah,
Russo,
yes.
Goldberg, Vince Russo.
Where's my applause button? Hold on. Yeah. What is going on, John? What is going on?
Not much. What's going on in your world? I see you, getting a little bit of trouble with some WWE guys and kind of going back and forth. What's up with that?
I didn't get in any trouble whatsoever. These guys and gals just don't want to listen to freaking criticism, bro. That's them being childish. I love constructive criticism, bro, because it helps me become a better all-around person. And that's all I was doing, was giving constructive criticism, wasn't taking cheap shots at anybody, just stating some facts that I think a lot of casual fans were saying, because that's what I am. I'm a casual fan, but bro, you got a lot of, to me, bro, I don't know how you could be a professional athlete and be thin-skinned. I don't know. Can you imagine, bro, if players really truly got upset when they went to the visiting ballpark and they got booed? Like, can you imagine? I mean, part of being a pro is being thick-skinned, because, bro, you are going to get criticized, especially since that is what I do. That is what I get paid to do. And I've said it a million times. I don't know these people. So I'm not talking about these people on a personal level. I don't know them. I'm sure they are great people. I'm just talking about my takeaways when I watch, a wrestling show.
What was this specific? Was it Bailey you didn't like the way she was dressing? I'm trying to
Yeah, no,
remember.
I mean, Bailey, basically that's how it started. All I said was, basically Bailey made a return to television. And, bro, she wore the same outfit like for 6 weeks in a row, and she wasn't wrestling. So it's not like it was her wrestling gear. She wore the same outfit. And I just basically said, one of the things Vince McMahon taught me was, very early on, if you want to be a star, you got to look like a star. And, and I pointed out some of the people in WWE that go above and beyond, wardrobe, which they pay for out of their own pocket. And, some people that come to mind are, Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair, and, Rollins, invests a lot of money. Becky invests a lot of money. And, that's part of being a star. And that's all I said. I said, Bailey, you've been wearing the same outfit every single week since your return, man. Just, you need to, mix that wardrobe up a little. And sure enough, bro, she wore a new outfit on television this week. So I'm not saying that in a hateful manner. I'm saying that as you are on TV, you are a television star, man. You need to present yourself in that manner, and wardrobe and look is a huge part of that, bro.
I saw Becky put something. Is this you? And then there was some quote from you from Sportskeeda.
Yeah, no,
Was that something
yeah.
bad about her, or?
Yeah, no, basically, bro, what I was saying, and listen, bro, these people ain't going to make me back down. I mean, with all due respect, Becky Lynch and all these Ali and Ricochet, like with all due respect, guys, if I said something, I'm going to say I said it, and I'm going to stand behind it. What my comment was about Becky and Seth, and this was several months ago, bro. This was several. She dug up a comment from several months ago, which is fine. But what I said, John, was we had two characters here. One was the man, and her husband was the Monday Night Messiah. Okay. All of a sudden, bro, they come out in completely different gear, with completely different characters, with no explanation. So again, as a casual fan at home, I'm watching this and I'm like, wait a minute, you were just the man, now you're Lady Terminator. And Seth was Monday Night Messiah, and now he's the Joker. Like, bro, if you're going to switch up your character and your gear and your persona, there needs to be an explanation to it. You need to transition into that. You can't one day be this and the next week be that and expect people to understand. And that was my comment, and I stand behind that comment to this day. If you want to change up your gear and your persona and your gimmick, number one, there's got to be a reason for it, and there's got to be an explanation for it, and there's got to be a transition for it. I mean, my God, bro, if I'm writing TV, and I've got a character, say Raven, for instance, and all of a sudden, the next week, Raven shows up, and he puts his gear on and he's backstage with a totally different look. I mean, as the head writer, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, the audience isn't going to understand how you went from this to that. If that's what you want to do, we got to set it up with a story and an angle and a reason, because if you just do it, nobody's going to understand. That's all I said, bro. And like I said, bro, these are pros that can't take criticism from a guy that used to write the show. Okay, bro, they're not going to stop me from giving criticism.
Is that on the creative though, or is it on the wrestlers? It seems more on creative to make sure you have a story in line for the change.
Absolutely. No, 1000%, bro. Absolutely. If you want to change up your look, okay, what you need to do is get together with creative and say, listen, man, I really want to get from this and I want to change my look to that. And then you figure out how to do it. I mean, it's really that simple. You don't just do it with no explanation whatsoever. And that's what both of them did.
So do you like the look after the fact if there wasn't enough creative to build it up? Do you like their looks now though?
Bro, listen, like I said, they both invest a lot of money in costuming. That stuff is not cheap. So when you ask me, do I like the look, bro, I can't like the look if I don't understand it. It still hasn't been explained. It still hasn't been explained. I mean, what I took away from Becky was like, oh, okay, I guess she's cosplaying. I know that's a big thing today. And bro, like, even when you look at Seth, who, bro, Seth has had so many character changes, more than anybody, I think, in the history of wrestling. Like, seriously, if we went through every moniker and all of a sudden now he's laughing like the Joker. Bro, if you go back and you watch TNA and you watch Crazy Sting, okay? There was a story to that, bro. And he wasn't one day Sting and the next week Crazy Sting. There was a transition to that of why the character was changing. And as the character was changing, his appearance was changing. So it was explained and laid out. But to go from A to Z, you're not doing it correctly.
Same with Foley too. Obviously, when he would do the three-face to Foley, there was a reason for the change.
Absolutely, bro. I mean, bro, it's like, we were talking before we came on about the new Halloween movie. It's like you're watching Halloween from, I think Halloween started in 1978. Okay, you're watching this, and all of a sudden you're going to turn on this new movie and Michael Myers has a new persona without explanation. No, bro, it's television, man. And like I said, to the casual fan, you've got to explain, you've got to explain to them what's going on.
Becky does look like a star, though. Like, carries herself like a star. Don't you agree? Like the way she looks in her presentation, or you disagree?
Oh yeah,
that?
I'm telling you, bro. I don't think people understand. They pay for their wardrobe, bro. That's not part of their deal. They pay. They go to wardrobe and say, "This is the outfit I want. I want it to look like this." They work together with wardrobe. They know how long it's going to take. There's fittings and there's all that stuff. And no, I applaud Becky and Seth for coming out in something different every single week. I applaud them for that. But there was no rhyme or reason to it. And that's all that I said.
So then there was another comment, and I want to know your explanation on this one. So Mustafa Ali, not Mustafa Ali, Mustafa Ali said,
Mustard. I'll call him Mustard Ali. That's easier for me.
"Hey, I don't quite get the why it's Mustafa, not Mustafa, like the normal pronunciation. I don't get it, but I mean, obviously it's his name. He's going to say it like the way he wants to. But what is the racist cop thing? What the hell is that,
Bro, what the hell that was? And again, these guys are going back freaking years. Okay, bro. When we look at the COVID period, and we look at the time the WWE was performing in front of nobody. They were performing in whatever they were calling it, the War
the
Zone,
Thunderdome? The Thunderdome, yeah.
The Thunderdome. Bro, there were so many hot issues going on at that time that the WWE completely ignored. Like none of it was going on. COVID, never addressed. Black Lives Matter, never addressed. Defunding the police, never addressed. None of these hot buttons, bro, were ever addressed. And that's what made the Attitude Era so hot back in the late 90s is we were just mirroring society. That's what made, we weren't ignoring it, bro. We were discussing it and we were taking it head on. So with one of the stories at that time being the defunding of the police, bro, Mustafa used to be a police officer. As a shoot, he used to be a police officer. So what I pitched off the top of my head, mind you, when I was on Sportskeeda, it was off the top of my head. What I pitched was during that time with the defund the police, Ali could have been a character that was very pro-police and talked all about the good aspects of police and being a police officer. But, and this was the word that I used, but behind the scenes, there were shades of was he a racist cop or was he not? Okay, so he's playing this front about how great the police are. We would never do that. We would never do that. A couple of apples shouldn't spoil every bunch, blah, 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 blah. But then he was acting and saying things in a certain way that we were like, wait a minute, bro, is this one of the racist cops? Now, bro, when I think of a story like that, okay, see, this is what, with all due respect, a guy like Mustafa will never be able to think on my level as long as he lives. Why, bro? Because he's one of these guys that what is important to him is having a match to get all his shit in, and he could care about anything else. That's why he's never been over. So when I say racist cop, he's got this, like this in his head, not thinking for 1 second what that could mean, because he doesn't have the ability and he doesn't have the understanding and he doesn't have the intelligence to understand what I'm saying. John, if you got a cop that is being pro-cop and talking about all the positives of a cop, but then you hear him dropping certain things in the locker room and people are starting to question him, the first thing that comes to my mind is wrestling from day one, bro, was good versus evil. Good guy, bad guy, with good always winning out at the end. No matter how long it took, bro, good always got over. So in my mind, if you're doing an angle like this, what I'm building it up to is redemption. And maybe Mustafa Ali was racist. Maybe something happened in his background or in his life with a minority and it turned him against an entire race. Well, through the storyline now, circumstances change and you have the story of redemption, of setting it up in such a way where maybe a minority or somebody from a different race befriends him and starts talking logic to him, and you know he's playing along with it, but it's really effect on him. But all you got to do, bro, is then put that character in a situation where he's really in harm's way. And then all of a sudden, Ali makes the save. And now you've got redemption. And now Ali can give the promo. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, this happened to me. And I made the mistake of putting everybody in one basket, not understanding that people are individuals. That's the story, bro. It's just like the perfect example is when Austin saved Stephanie McMahon. Perfect example. It's a story like that where at the end of the story, it is a feel-good story. It is redemption. He saved a minority. Now he sees the light. Now he understands. But they don't bro, these wrestlers today, they don't understand characters and story at that level. So everything that Vince Russo says to them is the shits because it's foreign to them because they don't understand. They just want to have their long ass matches. They want to get their shit in. And what they've done in the interim is run off every single casual fan that the Attitude Era took years to win over. And they've run them all off for reasons like this that they don't even want to hear.
Does he have to be racist? Can he just be a dickhead cop? You know what I mean? Why does race have to be?
What's wrong with him? John, you mean to tell me with all the shit that went down during that time period, none of this was weaved into television shows?
It was, yeah.
Okay, well, Raw is a television show, bro.
What about the sponsors and the PG nature of it, though? They might not be open to that.
What did I just say was the story, bro? It's a story of redemption. It's a goodwill story. It's a warm, fuzzy story at the end with a message. When you sit down with a sponsor and you explain to them, this is what the story is, I can't imagine any sponsors. That's not going to send a good message. Come on, John. It's like, again, because you say a word racist. What is that, bro? Is that one of the things we no longer can talk about? It's funny, John. Like keep building up the list of things we can't talk about because whoever says we can't talk about racism when racism exists because somebody said we can't talk about it. So you're going to keep building up the list of, okay, you can talk about these things, but you can't talk about these things. You know what that equates to is, bro, we're being controlled. We're being told what we can discuss and what we can't discuss. And that is absolute bullshit. And if people can't see through that, you're out of your freaking mind. Who says that you can't deal with racism on a television show? Bro, the number one show on Netflix is
Jeffrey
Dahmer.
Dahmer. Yeah.
The undertone of that entire show is racism, the treatment of the LGBTQ community. That is the whole undertone of the show. You think Netflix said for a second, oh, bro, we can't go there because we're going to lose subscribers? It's life, bro. It's part of our life and it's part of the world we live in. And to me, if you've got a television show where you can make a positive out of that, like I said, bro, I'm going right back to Austin saving Stephanie McMahon. It's that story. But you're not going to sit there, bro, and tell Vince, you can talk about this, but you can't talk about that. But you can talk about, but this week you can't talk about that. That's why I paid over $25,000, bro, to be behind the paid wall. Because if people were going to tell me what I can say, what I can't say, what I can't talk about, and what I can't, I'm not going to podcast at all. Because then I'm not being true to myself. I'm not being true to my family. I'm being an absolute phony, and I'm not going to podcast at all. That is why I am behind a paid wall.
So do you see money in him at all? that character aside, anything with
No,
Mustafa
no,
Ali, nothing.
no, bro. Listen, not every there's exceptions to the rule. Goldust, Val Venus. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule. Every successful character, bro, there are seeds of themselves and who they really are. Okay. And the bottom line is Mustafa was a cop. And I'm not, see, these guys can't separate. Hey, Dopey, this is a television show. I'm not saying you were a racist cop. This is a show and this is a storyline. But the fact of the matter is, John, he was a cop. And I guarantee you, bro, as a cop, there was a lot that he saw. And probably a lot that he saw that he didn't agree with or was uncomfortable with. So therefore, he now will be able to go out there and portray a character connecting to what he once was. All these, bro, retribution? Are you kidding me, bro? That was almost as bad as the gobbledygooker. Why? Because what experience did Mustafa Ali have with being a terrorist? What was he a terrorist at one point in his life? And he was able to relate to that? Because I guarantee you, bro, terrorists are not throwing bricks through windows and running away. That's not what they do. Oh, but he was a cop. And he probably dealt with a lot of these things. And as a writer, he could probably tell me a lot of these stories. And if you know the end game is to good over evil, that is the end game. And there's going to be a story here, and it's going to be a feel-good moment, and it's going to send out a good message. If you know that, then that's what you're working towards.
What about Bailey? You see Money in Bailey. Do you not like her as a heel? Because to me, she's a baby face. She's like the John Cena type baby
bro,
face.
That's John. I said that day one. Listen, I watched NXT only a few times, so I had seen Bailey. But then when she came out with the balloons and all that stuff, I said Bailey could be the female John Cena. Yeah. That's exactly what I said, bro. And WWE, bro, has a horrible way of miscasting people. There are so many people that are miscast. And it just, bro, it blows my mind as I sit here with Ali. It's like, wait a minute, bro. Like, you were a cop. You know there are racist cops. We all know there are racist cops. You don't want to portray a racist cop, but you'll portray a terrorist? Like, that's really weird to me, bro. Like, in other words, it's not stereotypical for you to be a racist. Like, that totally blows me away. Bro, Bailey is so miscast at this point. And if she's going to be a heel, bro, what's hot right now? Or what, again, during the COVID and all that stuff. Bro, the Karens. She should be a Karen. If she is a heel, she should be a Karen. That's what she should be. Getting up in everybody's business, cutting real life promos. That's what she should be. Whatever her character is now, I don't understand. She looks like somebody's aunt. All the heat with her is cheap heat. You know how we're all stupid. They're the only smart ones. It's all that shit, bro. And again, she is grossly miscasted, bro. And I don't care what they think. And I don't care about the marks because everybody's over to the marks. To the casual fans, they could give two craps about Bailey, bro.
What do you think, like, or who else do you think is miscast? Because you said a lot of guys are girls.
Oh my God, bro. There are so many. I mean, every time we start going through the list, when we start going over Raw, I can't think of any like off the top of my head, but there are so many people miscast or their characters are just wrong. Yeah, bro, it goes back to, you got a guy like Drew McIntyre with movie star looks. He's the guy all the girls want to be with and all the guys want to be. Like, this guy walks into a bar, somebody messes with him, bro. It's game over. And what's the next thing? He's coming out with a sword, bro, because he's from Scotland. It's those type of things, bro, that they do, like, across the board, that it takes away the reality of who these people really are. It takes that away from them, because you're not, bro, a character, you need to amplify who they really are. They make cartoon characters out of people. It's two completely different things, bro.
A lot of the factions don't seem to have chemistry either. Like Bianca Belair's with Alexa Bliss and Asuka, there's no chemistry. Damage Control, there's no chemistry. Even the Brawling Brutes, to me, I know they're starting to get together a little bit, but it's a little odd. Like Ridge Holland with Sheamus, with Pete Dunne, Butch, whatever you want to call. I don't know. A lot of the chemistry issues, I think, with the factions doesn't make sense.
No, well, bro, because how did that happen? Because they had a lot of these guys that they never got over. So let's put some of these guys together. So now you're putting people together with no rhyme or reason. I talk about this all the time, bro. When you had real tag teams, when you had the Hart Foundation, when you had the British Bulldogs, when you had the Legion of Doom, we can go, the Rockers, we can go up and down the list. There was a reason those two people were together. There was a reason, and they were a true team. What the WWE does with, and bro, I'll tell you, the only time this worked, and it was an attempt to do the same thing, was Rocky Maivia. Oh, bro, they fail miserable. Oh, throw him in the nation. That's what they did. Throw him in the nation. To this day, they're doing that. Couldn't get Finn over. Couldn't get Rhea Ripley over. Couldn't get Damian Priest over. Let's create a faction. Well, okay, bro. So now you're creating a faction with three people you couldn't get over. So now they're going to get over as a faction? Like, why? Why are they going to get over? And more important to me, bro, I'm going to go back to the storytelling. Why did they come together? Why is Finn Balor with Damian Priest? And why is Rhea Ripley? There's never a reason or an explanation for anything, bro. That's why I am not a fan of this at all. Like, at all. If bro, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I get paid good money from Sportskeeda to watch Raw. Okay? Raw is all I watch. I don't watch any other show because you're not paying me to watch these other shows. The minute that relationships comes to an end, will definitely, at that point, I will no longer watch any wrestling whatsoever. And also, bro, probably I will never ever do another wrestling show again. The only thing that is keeping me tied to this is what they are paying me on a monthly basis, because this stuff sucks to me. And then, of course, everybody, oh, I'm bitter. I'm bitter to Hunter, and I'm bitter to Tony Khan because they won't hire me. Well, you know what, bro? Put Michael Myers on that list too, because I must be bitter towards Michael Myers because Halloween Ends sucks. So put me on that list too of being bitter towards that franchise. Maybe I wanted a job with Halloween and they never hired me, so I'm going to say the movie sucks. Put me on that list too.
All right, let's get to the topic at hand. WWF WrestleMania 13, March 23rd, 1997, Rosemont, Illinois, obviously Chicago, at the Rosemont. Over 18,000 in attendance, pretty damn good. The tagline was Heat. The pay-per-view buy rate, not so great, 237K. For WrestleMania, very
That's
low, very
terrible.
low.
That's awful.
So WrestleMania 14 would do, like, I think it was 750,000. So WrestleMania 14 quadruples, almost quadruples this one as far as a year later.
I believe I wrote 14 and not 13. But anyway.
Who is writing this show?
Pritchard, Patterson, Vince. I'm pretty sure Pat was still around during this time. Pat exited officially when Bill Watts came in. So if you know those dates, you'll know the timeline. I'm pretty positive it was Bruce and Pat at this point.
What were you doing?
I was I was kind of learning the ropes. At this point, Bruce is really taking me under his wing. Bruce would take me when he would, do outside vignettes, which they don't even do anymore. He would take me on those vignettes. I was writing all the verbiage for the wrestlers when for the house show verbiage. When they used to do those, Monday night, Madison Square Garden, blah blah blah. I used to write all of those, bro, for all the talent, and I used to produce them in the room. This is a time, bro, when Bruce is probably, bouncing stuff off of me just to get another opinion, but I am not putting, pencil to paper here and writing these show. Definitely did not write this show.
So we talked about this last time. Shawn Michaels just lost his smile, aka knee injury, gives up the title, vacates it. So we had the final four. Then we had Sid beating Bret after Bret won the final four. So this main event is Sid versus The Undertaker for the WWF Championship. Austin versus Bret Hart in a I Quit match, aka submission match, with Ken Shamrock as the referee. Any thought of making Bret versus Austin for the title, the main event, instead of oddly putting it on Sid?
Yeah, bro, I was not involved in those decisions at the time. I mean, I was not. Bro, I'm telling you. And bro, listen, if Bret versus Austin was a masterpiece, so if I was involved with that in any way at all, I would say it. I wish I was. I wasn't. I wasn't. I was not involved with the writing or the positioning of this show or anything.
Do you remember like negotiations, if anything, of bringing Shamrock in, or what the thought process is? Because obviously you're going to end up using him as a full time wrestler, but
Yeah.
here's like the tease: he former UFC champion, this legend, this the world's most dangerous man. He's the only one that could referee this match and get a clean win, a clean submission for either Austin or Bret. Do you remember that and bringing him in?
I think, bro, at this time, MMA is probably starting to get a little steam, and Vince is trying to kind of stay ahead of the curve a little bit. And, Shamrock had wrestling experience,
Yeah.
and I'm really not sure, bro, who contacted who. I mean, for all I know, Shamrock could have contacted WWE. I don't know who contacted who, but I would think that at this point, Vince is probably starting to take a little bit more attention to UFC and MMA.
So with Michaels, are you writing, because he's going to be on WrestleMania 13, even though he's supposedly hurt, and he does like a flip off the rope. He does the thing with his knee where he twists it, where he basically tells you, "I'm not really hurt." Like, are you writing his verbiage like
So
for his
he
stuff?
okay. Let's just go back in a timeline. So he was the champion, then he forfeited the title,
Yep. Remember, he lost a smile. He cried on TV.
and then
Handed
what
Vince over.
happened? What happened after that?
So then you had Final Four, and Bret wins the title. Then you have Monday Night Raw, and Austin hits Bret, and Sid pins Bret, so Sid becomes the champion. And then they have a few other great things in
When
between, but
did Shawn have his run like with Vader prior to this?
before, yep.
Then I was writing Shawn stuff. Yes, I was producing and writing all of Shawn's promos when he was the champion. So the answer with the timeline you said is yes.
So here, do you say to him like, Shawn, you're not really hurt? What the hell's going on? Or you don't mention that to
No,
him at
hell
all?
no. I mean, I'll have my bro, that's a very difficult spot to be in, bro, because one of my rules of thumb was I'm never, ever, ever, ever gonna accuse anybody of being a liar if I really don't know. And that put me in a tough position a lot, bro, when it came to guys being under the influence. What was a guy pilled up? I mean, where I in my gut, I thought the guy was pilled up, but I've never been pilled up, so I couldn't tell you 100%. So I would never assume that you are. I would always go to one of the talent, and I would say, bro, go have a conversation with so and so and tell me what you think. So it's the same here. if Sean is saying he's hurt, I can't say he's not. I don't know 100% for sure. So if he is saying he's hurt, then I'm going to take his word for it that he's hurt.
I'm not a doctor or anything, but to see a
Oh,
guy move around like that, it's like,
right.
man, he can't be that hurt
Bro,
if he's able to do shit like that.
I say this all the time about WrestleMania 14 when he had all the back problems and whatnot. And in the middle of the match, he kept up. So, like, to me, I'm like, bro, like, come on. But then again, I say, okay, Vince, you don't know that level of adrenaline in a spot like that, WrestleMania. You don't know. So I don't like to assume people are lying to me, bro. I just don't.
With him, I felt like he never really got the knee surgery, so that's a little bit of an indication too. Maybe he tweaked it or whatever, but I felt like he probably could have wrestled or probably could have done some sort of, I don't know, finish to get the title off him, but he never technically loses the title. And he comes back a few months later after WrestleMania, and he never had the surgery. So to me, it's like, and he looked great when he came back too. Like he was
Bro,
bouncing around like crazy.
I can tell you this, and I may have told this. I don't even know if I've ever told this story, but let's face it, bro. Sean seemed to be in and out based on where he was with Vince. Either he was happy with Vince creatively, or either he was unhappy or whatever. That's how Sean would come in and out. It became a real problem, bro, during the rise of Austin. And the reason why it became a real problem was, bro, I saw this with my own eyes. Vince had his new toy and he was kicking Sean to the curb like he was the redheaded stepchild. And Sean was really carrying the company when he was champion and nobody was watching. And now Vince had Austin and Sean was yesterday's news. Okay. So that was the WrestleMania 14, and that's when Sean went home. Okay. Now, bro, I remember when we brought Sean back, it was me who wanted to bring Sean back, because what I'm always looking at is, bro, whether the guy's going to be a headache, whether there's going to be an issue, whatever the situation is, if he can help the show, I'll deal with it. So I wanted to bring Sean back, and that's exactly what Vince said to me. Vince, I think Vince would have let him sit home forever, because at that point we really didn't need Sean, because Austin's starting to rise. And I remember Vince said to me, Vince, if you want to bring him back, but you're going to have to deal with him. It was that type of a thing. And bro, I remember we brought Sean back, and it was me who campaigned it, and I was the one behind it. Something changed creatively in the production meeting that day. So what Sean was supposed to initially do had changed. And what did he do, bro? He got all up in my face and cut a promo on me. Meanwhile, I was the guy that, and I swear to God, when that happened, Vince came right to me. He goes, "What'd I tell you, bro? What did I tell you? I told you, bro. Now you wanted him back. Now you got him back. And now this is what you're going to have to deal with." But, bro, I always say this in Sean's defense. I saw Vince kick him to the curb. And I understood completely why Sean felt the way he did. And that's why I say all these years, bro, if Vince McMahon will kick a Shawn Michaels to the curb, he'll kick anybody to the curb. It doesn't matter who you are. So a lot of, Sean in, Sean out, Sean in, Sean out. A lot of that was a relationship with Vince, bro.
Crazy. He did it with Hogan for God knows how. He did it with Austin, God knows how. He did it with Michaels.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always like the shiny new toy. Like who's the next guy, and then I'll get rid of this guy.
Yep.
And then it's funny you come back to that guy because it was kind of, he regrets getting rid of that guy to a certain extent.
Yep.
So with Michaels here, obviously he's going to be a part of the main event, not wrestling. Of course, he'll do some commentary for it, but just interesting to see him out there, almost as like a little bit of like an FU, like guys, like almost like FU Undertaker, FU Sid, FU Brett. Like I'm not really that hurt. Like I'm out here. Like if he's really hurt and he really needed surgery, he probably wouldn't be at WrestleMania 13 doing flips and stuff.
Yeah, but I will say this, bro, because I go back on what do I do this on? I think I do it on russosbrand.com. Every 2 weeks, I watch an hour of the Attitude Era. And, bro, I will say this without a shadow of a doubt. As I'm watching this, and I know there are, times when we're having issues with Sean backstage. Bro, when he was on commentator, he did what his job was supposed to be. He got everybody over. He got everybody. Bro, I watch commentary when it is clear to me Jim Cornette is burying people he does not like. I mean, he really hard, and I know why he's doing it, because he personally doesn't like them. Sean never did that, bro. And that was really, bro, his that was really his faithfulness to the boys, which seems odd because of the whole Brett situation. But I'm telling you, bro, in spots when Sean was unhappy with Vince and Sean was unhappy with management, he never took it out at the expense of the boys when he was on color, burying. He never, ever did that, bro.
Do you have to write his stuff for commentary, or no? He does
No,
it on
no,
his
no,
own.
not at all. Not at all.
So let's get to the card. The free-for-all first. Billy Gunn defeats Flash Funk with the Funkettes in about 7 minutes. Nothing to write home about here, just a free-for-all dark match, if you will, the pre-show match. Then the actual pay-per-view begins. It is a four-way elimination match to determine the number one contenders for the WWF Tag Team Championships. So Mosh and Thrasher of the Headbangers defeated Furnace and LaFon, the Godwins with Hillbilly Jim, and the New Blackjacks, of course, Bradshaw and Wyndham, to become the number one contenders in about 10 minutes, 30 seconds. 4 tag teams. You guys don't really do it much with the tag team division. The Headbangers are going to win. Anything here like that kind of grabs you, like, oh, this is interesting, or oh, this is great? Because I mean, the
Not really.
Godwins kind of passe, Blackjacks are passe.
I do know The Office, and that Pat, these guys were really high on Furnace and LaFon, really high on these guys, but they found out rather quickly, like, these guys just had no personality, bro. They and it's so funny because they were great workers, and that's why they were there. But once, they saw that they really had no personality, I mean, it was very, very short-lived. Whereas compared to today, you got a lot of great workers who are still there and haven't had a personality and won't get a personality. Back then, if you didn't have both, you were not going to be there very long, bro.
First Funk, great workers. I always love watching them, but you're right. Maybe lacked in the character department. There really was no character for them. They were just good wrestlers, basically.
Yeah. So, but I think they were from Canada too, right?
Yeah.
That's
well, not Furnace. Furnace is from Tennessee, but LaFon is from Canada.
That's why I'm sure Pat, probably had a little bit of influence there.
So Headbangers are now the number one contenders for the tag titles. It just felt like, okay, whatever. Like, you're not doing anything with the tag division anyway, so whoever's number one contender is like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Like, do you really want to start off the show with that? I mean, I guess you could, but didn't grab me at all.
I wouldn't have grabbed me at all either, bro. Like I said, I didn't lay out the order of matches or anything like that here. But I agree with you.
Speaking of that, Rocky Maivia is up next. He's the Intercontinental Champion. He defeats the Sultan with Bob Backlund and Iron Sheiki Baby in about 10 minutes to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Rocky Johnson even comes out of the crowd, and I feel like we're going back to 1980 with Rocky Johnson and Iron Sheik and
this is what Backlund. I mean, bro. Just about over the top, just stupid, unrelatable characters. The Sultan, whatever. Like this, I remember when they came up with this. I had nothing to do with this, and I was like, "Oh, bro, this sucks." Like, come on, man. What do we do? The Sheik was very entertaining in the back. Always loved being around the Sheik, but this was such freaking nonsense.
To me, Rikishi, when he becomes Rikishi, it's like, wow, this guy had so much charisma. Like, look at just look like he comes out of him just when he stands there doing that when he's about to dance. People go nuts. It's like, and then you put him under this mask thing, and he's the Sultan with the Iron Sheik.
That's what horrible gimmick. Again, when I talk about miscasting, we can go back 25 years ago. You see it all the time, and I'm telling you, bro, when you sit down with these talents before you bring them up, and you have long, in-depth conversations with them, chances of you miscasting them are 1%. Because when you get in their heads and you really get to know them and what makes them tick, you usually nail that character right on the head. When you don't go through that exercise and you're just slapping something on them, it's not even 50-50. It's more 80-20 that it's going to fail.
And even Rocky Maivia here. I mean, it wasn't working, but the Intercontinental Champion, of course, Die Rocky Die would eventually become a big chant, and Rocky sucks and everything else. So the fans knew right away it wasn't working. I mean, WWF obviously realized it eventually, putting him in the nation, but man, it's just so corny, so lame.
Yep.
So then we have Hunter Hearst Helmsley with Chyna defeating Goldust.
Bro, it's almost. I'm just going to give you a perfect example. I was so in tune with the crowd and the numbers, and the people, the fans were the ones who wrote the show, because I was always listening to them. I was always studying the numbers. What they wanted, I gave them. It's really that simple. And bro, what I did was I played on every single moment. And I remember, bro, a couple of years ago, and look where we are today, and look how much time they wasted in between. A couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago, when Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble in Philadelphia. What year was that?
2015, I believe.
7 years ago. I remember saying at the time that if I was the head writer and he wins that match and they're booing him out of the building, okay, based on them booing him out of the building, I would have buzzed the referee and I would have said, tell Roman to go up to the second rope with his belt and flip off the crowd. Because you know what, bro? That would have been the natural reaction. That would not, you're booing me out of the building and I'm still going to try to be a babyface. The natural reaction would have been F you. And if they would have done that, then you wasted 5 years after that with suckering Succotash. We had a situation this Monday night on Raw. Lashley goes out and says, yeah, I'm going to defend this title each and every week for each and every one of you guys. He gives his babyface promo. Brock Lesnar comes out now, who's a babyface, and lays him out. But still as the babyface, he's going to have his match with Rollins. Rollins goes over, and at the end, they're cheering Rollins. Okay? Now, if I'm writing the show and I'm watching this, if I am Lashley, I am going out there this week and I'm saying, F you, bro. F you. Like, I wrestled with defending this belt with honor, with dignity, and I represented every one of you, because you don't have the opportunity to do what I can do. So I went out with your pride and your honor and your dignity, and some clown comes out here and takes advantage of me being hurt, and you're going to cheer him. You know what? That's what I would do. That's what I would do. But what the WWE does now, bro, is, okay, this one's a babyface, this one's a heel, this one's a babyface, this one's a heel, and we're just going to go in that direction no matter what happens. And they're not taking advantage of real moments. It's all cookie cutter bullshit. You talk about being miscasted, bro. They tried to make Becky a heel. Why, bro? Yeah. Why? Becky is not a heel, will never be a heel, and she tried. And you know what it looked like, bro? It looked like she was trying to be a heel. That's exact, but that's what I'm talking. Why, bro? She was over as the man. What got her over is Nia Jax, breaking her face with a shoot punch. And then, okay, bro, now we're going to go heel. Why? Every single week, bro. There's something like that. What happened with Elijah and Elias? Like, what was that? Like, what was that?
I know he's back though, Elias. He's coming back. But also Ronda Rousey as a babyface is terrible. She's a heel. Heel, 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 heel. Crazy.
Terrible, bro. You can't force shit on people. That's why I'm telling you, man. When I was writing, the fans wrote the show. Whatever they wanted, I went with. Why am I going to fight it? Why am I going to go against the grain? You want it, here it is. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, bro.
So Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley with China defeated Goldust with Marlena, 14 minutes, 30 seconds. Nothing really to write home about here. Obviously, Triple H is not Triple H yet. I mean, he's coming into his own. He's still, kind of doing the snobby thing. Eventually, they'll be with China and Rick Rude and Michaels. They'll be DX, but here it's just ho hum, okay match and okay feud. So then we got Owen Hart and the British Bulldog versus Vader and Mankind with Paul Bearer ending a double count out for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Owen and Bulldog retained. Match goes 16 minutes. 16 minutes, double count out finish. Almost seemed like a little bit of a waste of Vader here, who was just in the world title picture a month before. It's almost like we got to get him on the card kind of thing.
Bro, we've had this conversation many times. I don't know what was going on with them and Vader, bro. Like Vader just, to me, for whatever reason, bro, I don't know if he wanted more money. I have no idea, but he was like the guy that was always kind of picked on and made fun of and laughed at behind his back. And I don't know why, bro. I was never involved in any of that. I told you, bro, I remember when he was stuck, what was it, Saudi?
Kuwait.
And they were laughing. And they weren't taking his phone calls. They were making him sweat it out. And at that point, I was in a position where I was like, I want to say on the outside looking in, but it was like, Vince, keep your mouth shut mode. I could not believe the entertainment they were taking in this guy being scared to death. Now, I don't know how Vader got to that point. I don't know what happened beforehand, but he just always seemed to be the brunt of everybody's joke. I don't know how that started, bro. Bruce could tell you. I can't tell you how that started.
And it's funny because when he leaves WWF basically 98 and goes back to Japan, you're like, oh, does he still have it? He was awesome in Japan. So it's like, what the hell happened there?
Yep.
Like, it is so confusing. It's ridiculous.
Yep. I don't know what happened.
Crazy. So then the next match, Bret Hart defeats Stone Cold Steve Austin in a submission match, aka I Quit match, with Ken Shamrock as the guest referee. 22 minutes. This match is known as, to everybody pretty much, as the greatest match in the history of WrestleMania. You agree with that?
Oh yeah, bro. And this was Pat Patterson, 1000%, bro. Pat and Bret were very, very, very tight when it came to laying out all of Bret's matches. And this was Pat Patterson to the T. I mean, let me ask you a question, John, because you still watch all this stuff. I don't. Yeah. So I can't answer this question. Bro, like literally, how often on any product do you see a match like this today with this type of psychology? Can you remember the last one you really? I remember the one really talked about the most, bro, which I didn't even see, was Cody and Dustin. Yeah. Like that gets talked about a lot. And again, bro, keep in mind those guys are brothers, so there really is a chemistry there. But how often today do you think we see something like this?
Honestly, maybe like a Bryan Danielson match, but it depends on his opponent. But other than him, and I know you'll laugh, but Okada in Japan, he's unbelievable. I know you'll say, "Oh, come on, Okada," but his matches, psychology wise, are awesome. Like his selling and everything. But Dusty, I was going to say Dustin and Cody. That's like the big one we remember here in the States.
Yeah.
That match was awesome. I mean, that's a good thing when you have blood involved and like the stuff like that, instead of like Moxley bleeding every week for no reason.
Yeah.
It's tough to come by, especially at this level, Bret versus Austin. I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time. That's an awesome match.
You want to know the difference that I see, bro? And I'll tell you why it's happening. Bro, as I watch the Attitude Era in real time when I watch Raw, okay? bro, when you watch the Attitude Era and, Bret and Austin, bro, you're always seeing two guys trying to get each other over. I just saw a match with Shamrock and Kama, who came on to be the Godfather. But as I'm watching this match, both of them are trying to get each other over. Kama's trying to get Ken over as a baby face. Shamrock's trying to get him over as a heel. They're really trying to get each other over. And in that, bro, there's a lot of selling. I think when you fast forward today, bro, I don't get that feeling whatsoever anymore. And I think because what that's been replaced with is everybody trying to get their shit in, and there's no selling.
Yep.
There's no selling. And bro, like I said, man, you go back and watch a Shamrock and a Kama, they're selling. That's what's getting the opponent over. Like, bro, every time Shamrock goes to put that ankle lock on, Kama is screaming at the top of it. Like, you can see them both trying to get each other over. I don't see that anymore today, bro. I don't see that. I think that's what's, really, really, really hurt the reality of the business.
And think about this match is Bret and Austin. To me, one of the best WrestleMania matches, if not the best. Vince McMahon supposedly said no bleeding, no blading, and Bret's like, no, we need that visual. Like he's such a genius, and obviously with Pat Patterson and Austin too, like thinking, no, we need the blood. So when you submit the blood from a stone, which became a huge seller, one of the best selling shirts with the Austin 316 bleeding. I mean, it just was one of those things. Supposedly, Bret bladed Austin, and we didn't know. Nobody noticed what the hell was going. He's so good at it. We didn't notice. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And then when they got to the back, Vince thought it was a legit blood jet. Like he didn't know that Austin had bladed.
Yeah, wow. I didn't even know that, bro. I didn't even know that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So Bret is not only the master of tricking the audience, the boss.
Yeah.
I think everybody but Pat Patterson knew, like, what the hell? He must have really been bleeding out there. Like, wow, what a match. But
that's awesome. Hey man, he felt that's what they needed. He knew and he did it. I give him credit for that.
Because to me, the visual of that, the match is awesome, but the visual, you'll never forget that. Yep. He's bleeding and he passes out. Shamrock is like, ring for the belt. He's in a pool of his own blood, and the guy wouldn't let go of the hold. And then Shamrock has to get him off. So it's like they hate each other. He doesn't even care if he almost killed the guy, but Austin hates Bret so much he will never give up.
That's great.
He had to pass out in his own blood to lose.
Yep. That's great. Yep.
Which to me sets off Austin into the stratosphere because, man, he was getting good reactions, but after that, it was like through the roof. Like, absolutely. I love this guy.
Yep.
No quitting this guy. I love this guy.
Yep.
Then we have a great match for me. I love it. Ahmed Johnson and the Legion of Doom defeated the Nation of Domination, Farouk Crush and Savio Vega with JC Ice, Wolfie and D'Lo Brown in a Chicago street fight in 11 minutes. Crowd, I mean, LOD, Chicago street fight, I mean, match made in heaven there.
Yeah.
Crowd was loving this. I mean, Ahmed Johnson's throwing people through tables. I love that.
They didn't beat LOD in Chicago, did they?
No, Ahmed Johnson LOD defeat Nation Domination. Yeah.
I'm surprised, bro. I'm surprised. Yeah.
That awesome. Crowd was so rabid. Even after that Austin Bret match, they were so rabid for LOD. If they would have lost, awesome, they would have flipped. Yeah, they would have had a riot.
That is great. Yeah.
And Ahmed Johnson had the spikes on. There was controversy. Won't get into too much. There's some controversy. Did he steal the spikes? I interviewed Ahmed. He said he did not. I remember Animal saying he did steal the spikes. That's just a funny side story that, like, what happened to those shoulder pads that Ahmed Johnson had?
Oh, you mean after the match they were going?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that story either. That's interesting.
Yeah. Interesting to look into that, but I know there was a little bit of heat with LOD and him after that. As far as like what happened to those shoulder pads that you had?
Yeah, poor Ahmed. I got along with Ahmed really well, and I really, really, really liked him. But God, he had to eat with people, man.
And too many injuries for sure.
Yeah.
So then the main event of the evening, The Undertaker defeats Psycho Sid in an ODQ match for the WWF Championship to win the title and retain his streak, even though nobody even thought about the streak at this point. Match goes 21 minutes, 30 seconds. Taker wins with a little bit of help from Bret Hart, inadvertently, of course. Shawn Michaels is out there. So, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff going on. It wasn't a cluster, really, but there's other stuff going on to give Undertaker the win. Still made Sid kind of look strong in defeat.
Yeah. Man, I was always a big fan. I remember at WCW kind of did the Brett Austin match with Sid and Goldberg, where like Sid was a
Yep.
bloody mess, but he was not. I was always a big fan of Sid, but bro, that was just another guy that was never in favor with the office, man. And see, bro, when you're writing, you don't ask the questions, but like who Vince is having issues with. I mean, you know it, and you never ask because it was never none of my business, and it wasn't my. Yeah, he was one of those guys too, bro. That was never ever in favor with the office.
And he kind of fades away. I mean, eventually by
Yeah,
King of the Ring, he's kind of really fading away from
yeah,
WWF. So it's like he definitely was out of favor. But man, was he over or what? I mean, holy crap, was he over?
yeah,
I went
yeah,
to Survivor Series '96, Sid versus Michaels. Michaels gets booted out of the building. He's spitting on the fans because he's so mad that he's a babyface. Sid is the heel. He's cheating, and the crowd is going nuts. He's
yeah,
inventing the fist pump. If you
yeah.
remember, he's first person I've ever seen do that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's
So
why you got to go with it. Like you've got to go with it. That's why I'm going to go back to this past week. If I'm Lashley and they're cheering Rollins the way he won, I'm
yep.
cutting the what is wrong with you freaking people, bro? Like that you've got to take advantage of all that stuff, bro. The system has changed so much in the WWE, and they are so off kilter, bro. Of what are you gonna do? It is what it is.
So do you think this was an okay show? I mean, WCW 83 weeks, the NWO, I mean, they're kicking your ass. Do you think this was a good show to kind of move forward or no?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, obviously off the back of Brett and Austin, that was really that's a very, very good starting point. Yes.
That was great. Obviously, Austin and Brett would continue to feud a little bit, but that's kind of going to push them forward. Undertaker is world champ. I don't know, wasn't feeling him at this point. He'd feud with Farouk. He'd have a match with Steve Austin. He'd kind of be feuding with Brett a little bit. Obviously, Brett would get injured, and then that would lead to him coming back in SummerSlam and all that. But to me, little bit of a momentum here for you guys, but the pay-per-view buy rate wasn't great. Like your ratings aren't great. So that's almost where it's like we might need Russo to come in here and start writing the show.
Yeah. Well, listen, man. God, bro, I'm just gonna say this, bro. It's so much easier than they make it. It really is, bro. And if you just listen to what the fans are telling you, bro, I can remember going back to MSG under Vince Sr. Vince Sr. had the crowd in the palm of his hand, bro. When I wrote shows, I would know they're going to cheer here. They're going to boo here. I would know when I'm writing the shows. Today, like the fans like literally have hijacked the show. And bro, that's the thing. If they're going to hijack the show, that's one thing, but you need to react to them hijacking the show. If they're going to cheer Rollins and sing along with Rollins, Lashley needs to react to that. That could make Lashley the lone wolf. That can make Lashley the Sting, the Crow. F you all, man. I come out here every week breaking my back, and you're going to cheer and sing with this clown. If they're going to hijack the show, there's not a damn thing you're going to do about it, but you got to react to it, bro. And I think that's where they're really missing the opportunities.
All right, let's head towards the plugs. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com, and Patreon, patreon.com/tmptempire. Vince, what do you got?
Yeah, if you look at my addresses right there, russosbrand.com, patreon.com/Russo TWC, bro. Subscribe there. We got a bunch of great shows.
All right, thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, folks.